basically, with the new Mortal Kombat, what we're trying to do is bring the game more back to the original roots, the 2D roots, for a lot of the gameplay. Most of the gameplay is going to feel a lot more 2D like the old school games did. I'll demo some of the stuff for you. So what we did is we took the 3D movement. A lot of fighting games have problems. 3D fighting games have problems with moving in 3D and ducking. You know, you're trying to duck and you'll sidestep. So what we did is separate the 3D to 2D movement onto two separate controls. So the analog is 3D movement and the digital is 2D movement. So the game, most of the gameplay you do in the digital, but it's still very accessible with 3D and analog. Another spot in a lot of games, a lot of fighting games actually, where you have a lot of downtime, where if you do a throw, it's this big elaborate move that you would normally just watch. And right now what we're doing is actually making it gameplay orientated. So it's like a kind of a mini mode. When you throw somebody now, it's interactive where you're actually doing stuff too. So you're constantly always doing so. Anywhere there's a dead spot in the game, we would always try and make it so there's actually player input now. We're doing a lot of player damage, as you can see on the characters. Let's see. If you watch, like when I break his arm, like his clothes actually rip, or his arms get broken. Where there's usually a lot of dead time is when you knock somebody from one level to another level. There's a lot, like, you know, usually watch a cool fall experience, but now we actually make that interactive as well, similar to the throws. Like right here, as you're falling, you could actually fight on the way down and like switch places. A lot of the favorite traditional moves are in the game. Our combo system, a lot of it, like the dial combos from the past, is more of a customizable now, where you can actually like string together like different punches and kicks with special moves. So you can do like a punch and then do his teleport, or you can do punch and his spear, kind of mix them all together, whichever, because so you'll see two different people playing Scorpion in totally different ways. Really user customizable. Pretty much everything is linked to a lot of pretty much everything else. A lot of the worry that we weren't going to have fatalities in the game. All the MK characters are going to have fatalities. The DC villains will have fatalities, but the DC heroes, people you wouldn't expect to kill people, won't have fatalities. Like Superman, Batman, Flash are all going to have a similar thing, which I'll demonstrate as well for you. Here's an example of a fatality on the MK side. There's been a big concern that we weren't going to have them because it's a team-rated game, but we're just going to try and push it as far as we can with the violence and still try to get the team ratings.
Is that the total number of characters? Will there be more than 20 characters?
We're shooting for 20 right now. 10 from each universe. Here's another example of one of like the free fall you saw before. Here's an example of like another transition where you get busted through the walls, and it's kind of a tug of war where every each player do like a test your might type of thing, and whichever one hit harder gets the full damage put on the other guy. Sub-Zero, of course, is traditional freeze type moves. Superman, all the stuff you would expect to see with Superman. He's got his heat vision. Got this really cool, like tosses the guy up, smashes him to the ground. Kind of a ground pound. And this game we're focusing a lot on for hardcore gamers as well as casual gamers. MK has traditionally been, the casual gamers game. There's not much depth, and that has been a lot of the problems with the Mortal Kombat's for hardcore fans, for actual fighting game fans. What we're trying to do now is add a layer of depth. Where like if you do a move, we're calling them pro moves, but during a certain few frames when he's about to hit the ground, you're able to do another button press and he'll pound the ground twice or do something different. And there's different levels of difficulty of these things. See, there he goes. He's bounced twice. It's like it's something that even expert players aren't going to get out every time, so you feel rewarded. Some of them will pop up differently, so you can start a combo.
talk about why it's the DC universe?
Why we went with the DC universe? When it was brought to us. We already had started on Mortal Kombat 8, very early stages of it, and we've always wanted to do a crossover of some sort. But it's you want to do a Street Fighter crossover. You want to do those types of things because it just seems so cool. And the DC universe gave us a lot of control over how the game plays, and so we have a lot of creative control. So we really thought it would be a good mix. And to try to go for the teen rating, I'll get a lot of people who haven't played the game. A lot of the younger kids don't even know what Mortal Kombat is because they didn't grow up in the arcades like a lot of us did. Let's see, here it is. And here's an example of a Brutality from the DC side, with the DC hero Fatality, which is we're calling Brutalities right now. As you can see, it's still pretty violent, but leaves the guy alive. He's not. The story mode is actually we're not really talking about it right now, but it'll explain why the two universes collided and what's going on. Why can Superman beat up on Sonya? Kind of explains all that stuff. As you saw when I did the Brutality, his eyes were glowing yellow. That kind of all part of this rage thing. They're enraged. That's why he would do something he wouldn't normally do. The storyline really explains a lot of that. And you'll see, you can either play from the DC side or the MK side, and they'll kind of intertwine. And you'll see points in the game where you'll be like, oh, now that makes sense. Or from the other side of the perspective, you'll see, oh, that's why, Batman thought Sonya was bad, or that type of thing. Here's another example of one of the pro moves, but it's kind of one of the more accessible ones. It's not, because they have different types of, you have maybe 10 frames to do something or 2 frames, depending on the characters. If you do down back with this guy, he does this uppercut with flash, but if you tap the button, he'll teleport a couple more times, so it's kind of a interactive move as well. So that free fall mode is actually there's one power meter for both players, and if you counter that, you steal the meter. So it's kind of a gambling system. It's like a risk reward where if you steal it from somebody, you can either keep hitting the guy and risk him switching it back and stealing it back, or you can just finish it off and do the big super move that per character, they all have a different one. So right here, she's going to block and counter and flip it around and then steal it and do her super move. We're trying anything we've ever done in the past, we're trying to get away from, so arena weapons and stuff. We're trying to reboot everything, yeah. We're trying to just start over. So pretty much traditionally, anything we've done before, we're trying not to do it besides special moves. We're trying to just start all over, so.